Rivian is bringing Apple Music to its vehicles with spatial audio. Rivian's latest updates now has Apple Music, but apparently you'll need to be subscribed to Connect Plus to play on it. So Rivian isn't offering phone monitoring features like Apple CarPlay in its electric vehicles. So the company instead is pushing a new software that adds built-in Apple Music streaming support. Now last month, Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe said on Decoder that CarPlay can't leverage other parts of the vehicle experience and take control away from the automaker. In this case, control in terms of a paid subscription service needed to enjoy some of the features available on Rivian's big Android-based infotainment screen. The new native Apple Music app, which includes support for spatial audio and Dolby Atmos, is launching after Rivian introduced its new Connect Plus data subscription in June. In an email to The Verge, Rivian product spokesperson Courtney Richardson wrote that Connect Plus is needed for Gen 2 vehicles to have native app experience like Apple Music and streaming connectivity no matter where the vehicle travels. When asked about the difference between connectivity for Gen 1 owners who can already listen to music in-app like Spotify on the go with no additional subscription, Richardson shared the same information about Rivian's website. Many Rivian owners have enjoyed the included data service thanks to Rivian membership, which the company said it's phasing out. It seems owners of the R1T and R1S vehicles will soon need Connect Plus to stream their media apps on the go and continue using Rivian's built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. Rivian vehicles can run apps like TuneIn and Amazon Audible and will soon have native YouTube support for Google Cast as long as the owner subscribe to Connect Plus. So I gotta ask really, if you're a Rivian owner, if you own a Rivian vehicle, what do you think about Connect Plus? The fact that they're charging you, it will cost $14.99 a month or $149.99 annually. What do you think about that? I mean, you've already bought the vehicle. Now you have to pay a subscription to use service. They call it services, I believe. But isn't it just an app? Isn't it just an app that's already on the Rivian software? Why do you have to pay for Connect Plus? Does it give you additional features? And these additional features, should Apple CarPlay be even included? I would think additional features would be like, okay, if you want to track your car, something that's, unusual to buy in a vehicle that doesn't come standard with the vehicle. But you would think an app like Apple CarPlay would come as standard. You'd think that YouTube as an app would come standard. Apparently not. So Rivian is extending 2-month free trial of Connect Plus for all Rivian owners. That means drivers with Apple Music subscription can go ahead and jam out with the car's built-in data for its bit before needing to pay extra for privilege. Now, in many ways, I completely agree that Rivian, needs, more apps, absolutely. Because the fact that they're running their own software, they're in this situation where they kind of like have to do it all yourself, and that's not the easiest situation to be in. But also the fact that they're charging people for Connect Plus really tells a lot. Now, as time go on, Connect Plus could have more abilities, more features added, of course. That's all possible. But still, here's my question as well. Connect Plus, as it is, what other features does it include? Because I'm living in Europe. I've never been in a Rivian. I've been fascinated with the vehicles. I've never owned a Rivian vehicle. So I'm kind of curious, is the Connect Plus feature or service this thing where they already have an abundance of additional features, and now what they're simply doing is adding some new apps to it? But even still, I don't know how I feel about that. That's like edging into the range of BMW charging for seat warmers, and that's going to become a more controversial thing because as vehicles, they're being built with so many features within them. And in order for you to get access to some of those features, you're going to have to pay extra money. And that's just the way the world is going today. That's just the way the world is going with every company. But I didn't think it would be including apps like Apple Music or YouTube. I think those things will come as standard. I mean, what are they going to charge you for? The Messenger app as well? I don't know about that one. But I also wonder, am I just over-exaggerating? Someone who doesn't know anything about Rivian in terms of having a Rivian or driving a Rivian, am I just over-exaggerating, or is this genuine concern? Are other people out there just as concerned as I am that perhaps perhaps this is going a little bit too far. I understand having a Connect Plus, service that you can offer, additional features, but given that Apple Music and YouTube are not even built by Rivian, they're owned by other companies. Why are they included in a subscription? Again, I might be over exaggerating. I might be getting this completely wrong. If Rivian were to build their own music app or their own video app and they wanted to include that in the Connect Plus, that would make a little bit more sense, you know? But hey, I need someone to explain this to me because
Yeah, so our focus has really been historically on software and internet companies. That's primarily where kind of our sources of differentiation have been, just in terms of our own research and experience. We've owned some hardware over time, but one of the things that we've found difficult is just with the predictability of this early AI investment wave. And so we're looking for really durable beneficiaries of AI. And so we think we've found many in both the infrastructure and application layers. And so while it's been unfortunate to miss, like, say, an NVIDIA, we think it's very difficult to predict just how their fundamentals play out over the next couple of years. And so, we're happy with our strategy and focusing on what we know best. It's a great question. So I've noticed a lot of the conversation this morning has been about Elon and EVs and Tesla specifically. I think the market has really started to look at Tesla as kind of the only real winner in EVs in this country. There are some big Chinese companies like BYD that are successful as well. But we've really kind of tainted any other secondary players in EVs into like this, dustbin of unlikely, kind of unviable companies. And we think Rivian is emerging into its promise as being the #2 EV player after Tesla in the West. And so this deal that they just announced with Volkswagen about 6 weeks ago, we think is a massive validation of their position. Volkswagen is investing an aggregate of about $5 billion that will flow to Rivian. Rivian's only a $15 billion market cap today. Compare that with Tesla at almost $800 billion. And, Ed, just being here in San Francisco, we see a lot of Rivians out on the streets. It's very reminiscent of when Tesla started to get traction with the Model S. Rivian's roadmap is very much following in Tesla's footsteps, going from selling $100,000 kind of high-priced cars to a mass market. And the R2 and R3 models, which Rivian announced are going to come in 2026.
I'm just going to jump in here. So, as you know, I covered Rivian really closely for a few years. The VW deal was big. I've written that RJ Scaringe has been so to speak unreliable boyfriend. The Mercedes deal didn't last long. Ford never materialized. But it indicates that Rivian can't do it on its own. Is that fair?
So I actually think it's slightly different. I think the view that we have is that the legacy car industry is really struggling with the transition to modernizing their vehicle production. And so there are a couple aspects to that. One is the legacy car companies are really good at a couple things. They're good at outsourcing and they're good at marketing. They're not good at vertical integration and they're not good at software. And so if you look at even Ford's last earnings call, one of the things that their CEO called out is that Tesla and Rivian, those are the two companies that he called out, are really the only two companies that have developed a kind of new technology infrastructure that really modernizes the experience for customers. Yes. One of the important things now as a customer is, and I have both, I've had a Tesla for a long time, you expect to get over-the-air updates to your car. You expect to be able to access your car through your mobile phone. Yep. And those over-the-air updates are not just to the user interface. They're to the suspension system, the braking system, which requires a lot more integration. So we think the Volkswagen deal is like a real turning point for the industry, in that Volkswagen, which owns Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen, Lamborghini, they want to infuse all of those platforms with Rivian technology. And so it opens up this new paradigm in the automotive industry where you see that the legacy OEMs might need Rivian as a supplier of technology and software, which is an angle to this story.
Well said. I'm not familiar with Soma's Simon. I'm not familiar, but well said. Legacy automakers, they're really good with certain things like, advertising. you know, manufacturing of, of traditional vehicles with engine. They're good at optimizing with that stuff. However, Tesla's questioned that, with Tesla revolutionizing the way how they do their automotive um, manufacturing efficiently, it's really changed the industry. And Rivian is clearly going into the same direction. So if you can form a partnership with Rivian to modernize, that's what Volkswagen want. They want to modernize. What are we missing? Because Volkswagen is like, we have billions and we don't seem to be able to compete with Tesla. What is wrong? And I think they figured it out. They're not good at software, vertical integration, modularity. They're not good at all of these things that Tesla has utilized to make their business so efficient. Legacy automakers are not good at that. And when you think about Volkswagen, they don't just sell Volkswagen vehicles. They sell Seat, they sell Skoda, they sell Audi, Lamborghini. Porsche owns them. They own Porsche. It's a strange relationship, but they have so many brands they need to modernize very quickly. The ability to access your car and the information via an app is so crucial to the modern age. I look at my BMW app and I can find out how much fuel I have in my car if I don't remember. And I'm pretty sure Volkswagen has a similar app or similar features for some of their modern vehicles, but it still isn't anywhere close to the connectivity or the experience you get from a Tesla app or Rivian software. With this much needed investment from Rivian, I am telling you, it is going to be quite impressive to see what they accomplish with brands such as Volkswagen, to see how they're going to help Volkswagen. And I think this is where Rivian is going to become so useful to other automakers. They can help so many other automakers advance into this modern age. Yes, the Mercedes deal didn't work out, and that was a Mercedes deal for vans, I believe. I don't think it was really for software. It's not the same as the Volkswagen deal. The Mercedes deal was quite a bit different, and it just fell through for whatever reason. But I could see Mercedes coming back to Rivian if this deal works out well with VW. And you want to know why? Because they're German. They're German brands. BMW, Audi, they're German brands. And they're competitors in a lot of ways. So if Volkswagen is going to advance Audi, I guarantee you Mercedes is going to want some of that. They're either going to want to do it themselves or do it with someone else, or to form a partnership with Rivian where they can advance their software. So Rivian can help Volkswagen and other automakers advance into the modern age. This is something that they can't do on their own. Rivian needs help to sell more vehicles, to manufacture more vehicles, to build more factories. Basically more investment to further their needs. And this is what Volkswagen is adding to Rivian. So, well said.
We've seen it's still been a pretty volatile stock. How do you hedge against that volatility in your portfolio?
Yeah, so we've used the volatility to our advantage. So the company, if you remember, came public in 2021. It was one of the biggest IPOs in history. I think came out at $100 billion valuation because people perceived that it could be the next Tesla. Several years later, that promise, the roadmap is starting to come into view. Obviously, that was very early for people to think that far out. But we've used that downside volatility to our advantage. So we've just purchased the stock in the last 6 months at around these levels. And so we're very happy taking a position in Rivian, using the downside price action to our advantage to be long-term investors to see what this company can become.
It was interesting. One of your other key holdings is also impacted by Tesla in many ways, and that's Uber. That was the robo-taxi read across. I'm really interested in your ethos and focus.
And I think one final thing that I will say also is that for a lot of companies and individuals, small investors, big investors, and companies like Volkswagen, they've missed their chance with Tesla, and they missed that opportunity big. Even Mercedes used to own 10% of Tesla, and they sold it, and that 10% would have been worth over $100 billion at its height, or close to $100 billion at the highest price point for Tesla stock. So Mercedes will be kicking themselves forever because they didn't just give up $100 billion. They gave up $1 trillion. They gave up $1 trillion because one day, let's perceive that Tesla in the future at one stage, they will be worth $10 trillion. That's definitely possible. No question about it. It will happen eventually because they just want to build everything, not just cars. If other companies don't want to make a similar mistake, to Mercedes. Apple lost the chance to buy Tesla. You know, so many investors now realizing that, you know, in the early days of Tesla, instead of criticizing, they really should have been supporting. Now these brands are going to Rivian. It's quite obvious that Rivian will be the next Tesla if they can have the right amount of investment. So they're going to Rivian now and they're like, hey, we need your help because we lost the chance with Tesla. And this will continue happening. Rivian is a second chance. When you look at Friday Future, when you look at Lucid, they're just doing very different things. While Rivian is going up the path that Tesla was going. And Rivian is doing it very successfully, if I might add, because they started with their home country, the US. What do they love? SUVs, pickup trucks. That's what they started with. What else do they love? Smaller SUVs, smaller pickup trucks. What else do they love? Delivery vans. Tesla built what? A semi-truck. What else do America love? A lot of trucks. So they know how to target their home country, and they know how to target outside of that as well. So Rivian next stage is, of course, building more factories, upgrading their existing factories and manufacturing processes to optimize for efficiency, and eventually building new vehicles. I'm not talking about the R3, R2, R4, R5, more vehicle that will be more appealing to Europeans, to Asians, and to other Americans as well, South America, Africa. You can see how Rivian will just continue to advance. Right now with the R1T, R1S, they're actually going into the second generation of vehicles. Which would be way more affordable for Rivian to mass produce. And they will continue to upgrade these vehicles to make them easier to mass produce, just as Tesla's done. Let's not forget, with the Model 3, Tesla vehicles' interior didn't used to be so boring. They used to be a lot more interesting to compete with European brands. However, in order for Tesla to optimize for efficiency, they got rid of all the dashboard and all that stuff, and they just put everything on a touch screen. This is the way it's going. Optimizing for efficiency is the most effective way to make money. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.